balance, more happy than unhappy?
Depends. If you see the game, I think we had some chances to win the game. We tried to use the pace in transitions, defending a little more in the low block, but we had our chances, and we had some moments with the ball, and we pushed City to their half. I think we were near the goal, but if you look at the game, you can accept the draw.
Yeah. So they had more of the ball, but did you feel like you had a bit more of the threat?
Yes, because you have more space, and that is something that is normal when you are prepared to do that and you expect to do that. We were closer, I think, to the goal. They have more possession. That is normal.
Is it still that last bit for you though? In the last third, final pass, final cross. I heard you talk about it in midweek. Same again today.
Sometimes Ederson did quite well because we had some moments in the pass was in the they used a good pass in the overlap sometimes, things that we didn't do against Nottingham, and then Ederson was there. But if you look at the team, we have so much to improve in every aspect of the game, so that is one more.
Okay, give us some of those things. Where do you need to improve? We've not got long enough.
No, everywhere. I think everywhere. We need to improve in every aspect of the game, build up, transition, decision clearly in the final third. So we have to improve in every aspect.
How can you improve that last bit in the final third? Is it about developing individuals, or can it only be done in the transfer market?
No, we have. Every player can improve, and they are here because they show something in other clubs. So they have the quality. We have to spend more time there. We are still a team. Sometimes it's more danger in transition. We have to spend more time near the final third to have more opportunities.
Do you still feel, despite what you're saying about you can improve literally everywhere,
to the positions, we can find players between the lines, all that things, we are more calm with the ball, so we are better, but like I said in the beginning, we have a lot to improve.
Yeah, and you talked in the week about being in a rush to get to where City are right now and even beyond that.
We are. I can look at to the opponents and I understand there's a big gap, but I'm as a leader, I cannot say that we are going to take a lot of time. Even if you want to bring someone, if you want to push our players, you have to show some hurry. You have to feel that urgency to do something better because you don't have a lot of time in the club like ours. So we are in the rush. That is clear.
What did you make of it today as a game for a derby in this country? It's quite a cagey game, I guess, 0-0. Why was it that way?
I think if you look at the moment of both teams, not fighting for the title, that changed completely the game. You can make a funny game, but the feeling of winning, you cannot lose 1 point. You have to win every game at home. That feeling is not here, and it's hard for me. I'm the coach. It's hard to say that. So we need to fight for big things. If we are fighting for big things, the feeling it will be completely different. In that urgency, you will feel it more in the game. Like you don't feel it today because both teams are sometimes they have a lot of doubts in some moments to jump in the pressure, etc., etc. So I think you need to be fighting for the big things.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Derby game, what do you make of what you've seen?
Yeah. We have a control. We're not in the right spots to hurt them. In the first half, a little better in the second half, in the first minutes. And yeah, always I've been here. United have been an incredible transitional team. Always they defend against us quite deep. And of course with Garnacho, with the pace that they have, with Dorgo, with Dalot, and they link really well. The process I know quite well. They link inside. They know perfectly what they have to do. So it's a good team. But we take the point. So we were better to win, but still we are there.
Where were the right spots? How could you have hurt them more?
The players know it.
Can you share it with us? The game's gone now.
You should know it after 9 years together, our game.
I don't know enough about football.
That you should work in a business maybe and not ask about the football. They know it. So there are a process when the ball is in one side, the player has to be in the right position, even when turning the game punishes them, and today was not enough good.
Marmoush looked maybe like your most likely player to score. Can you just tell us what you tried to do with him? Because it wasn't like he was a direct Haaland replacement. He was often off to a side and then like a box or a diamond in midfield.
No.
Wrong again.
We play with two strikers. We not more central, because central there are more people, a little bit more open, but with two strikers.
Okay. And what was the thinking with that? Because it was quite congested. Yeah, but it was quite congested in the middle of the field.
Yeah, we know all the time. Against 5-4-1 is always Hollywood go with a Kovacic. They defend so narrow here, allowed to go outside, they jump. And you know, since many years I'm playing against him 5-4-1, defensive deep, so it's not new. And always we were able to do it, or the quality of the players, the talent to do it. But this is an extra that I cannot expect that, because they can play bad. It's just we should be in the same position that we are not. They tried, but we are not good enough, you know, to punish them or hurt them a little bit more. Than what happened.
What did you make of it as a game? Ruben Amorim talked about it being a game between two teams with some doubts and maybe not the biggest prizes to play for. Do you think that affected the match?
Yeah, maybe in that position. So I don't know. I think the last games we are much better. The back four was excellent, and just our process was not, you know, and we know that. So all the time we know that when we lose the ball in certain positions, they are incredible, strong team, and they punish you in the transitions. We know that. So they are really good in that. And of course, always you have to be a little bit alert, but always you can find it. So all the time we came here in Etihad, you know, I think Ruben is going to try to make incredible good build-up. I know they do the process really well, but mainly is a team, but a transitional team, and counter-attack is so dangerous.
Lastly, you've talked about making progress in recent weeks. What does today tell you about where you're at as a team and maybe the work you might need to do over the summer to get back to your really high standards?
We will take time. So the players, the last two games and today, they give everything. And next season will be the season. Now we have 8 games up front plus the semi-finals. Now have a long way. We prepare the games up front. And few things I'm happy what I saw, and you have to, you know, to the target to qualify for the Champions League, and next season will be next season.
Okay. Thank you.
Game at home right now. What do you make of that?
I sort of know what he's saying by the fact that obviously when they play against City, they're probably worried before they go into a game against Lyon in midweek that they're going to get a bit of a doing. But I don't think there was one player walked off that pitch at the end that was disappointed about drawing the game 0-0.
From either side? From
either side. I think they all sort of walked off thinking, oh, we're okay here, and got away without making a mistake. I think that was the sort of type of game. It was really disappointing. And I apologise for my cold commentary, actually. I think I let it get to me. I was boring on there as well. That was drab as well. It honestly, just the whole game. There's part of me, I get what he's saying about it being that point in the season, about City United are in a difficult moment. But this robotic nature of not leaving our positions, of basically being micromanaged within an inch of our lives, of not having any freedom to take a risk to go and try and win a football match, is becoming it's becoming an illness in the game. It's becoming a disease in the game. And I think ultimately, think about Pep Guardiola and his teams over the last 10 years, that's what his teams do. But we're seeing poor imitations of that across the board now. You know, United's goalkeeper rolling his foot on the ball and waiting for things to happen. That's not it. That's not what this club is. That's not what we do here. You know, Liverpool don't do that. You've got to be a top team with tempo in your play, rhythm in your play, get the ball moving, shift it quickly. And also, I think from a United perspective, I get why he's gone deep. I get why he's gone back into a sort of, like he called it, a low block. But that's what we've seen from Jose Mourinho, it's what we've seen from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it's what we've seen from Erik ten Hag. They've all come in with the intention of playing high press, high energy football, but all end up going back to a low block in big games. And I do understand why Ruben Amorim's done that today with the players he's got, because he hasn't got the players to adapt. They need 5 new players, Manchester United, straight away before you even think about the rest of it. The 3 up front are not good enough. The 2 behind and the 1 and the 2 wing backs, they're not good enough. So they need 5 players. They need to serve him with 5 players who are good enough in this system to be able to play his system the way he wants. But the game today really was quite depressing for me, because I think we're seeing a lot of these types of games. And the Premier League is about excitement, it's about thrill, it's about risk. And there was nothing like that in that game. So that's not good enough.
But just on Manchester United, Gary, he said there, candidly again, we need to do everything. We need to improve everything. Oh, no, but also, he's in a rush.
But he's very honest.
So something got to give.
I actually think he's really honest, because he says they need to improve everything. You know, and to be fair, Patrick came in with something along the lines of, you know, too much to even sort of list. But he is in a rush. He's realistic. I actually think his interviews are really honest. I think they're really open. He hasn't got time.
But has he got to shift the balance a little bit in terms of results then?
But what he's saying is at this moment in time is what we're seeing. He's not lying to us. He's not bullying us like some managers do, to be fair to him. He's saying it's not very good. We've got so much to improve. And by the way, I haven't got a lot of time to improve it or else you'll sack me. I think he's telling us the truth, because next season, if we're in 13th at Manchester United or in the lower half of the table, he's had 12 to 18 months to try and get the players in place, and he is where he is today. He'll be under pressure, and he knows that. I think he's actually, to be fair, being really open and honest about things, and I think he's telling us the truth.
That's the perspective of Ruben Amorim. What about Pep Guardiola? He's with Patrick.
Even this group of players?
Do you think this group of players are better than those teams that you've mentioned?
I think so. I still think the majority of these players should be doing better than the teams I've just mentioned. Do you think Man United should be scoring more goals than Wolves? If we want to start somewhere, you've got to have a starting point. You go, right, in terms of scoring goals, Man United over the history, you talk about the Cantonas, the U's, and Man United, it's about entertaining fans today. The fans today...
I agree with you. I agree with everything that you're saying, but I think the system makes it harder for them to do.
But do you think United, do you think this group of players... All right, do you think this group of players should be 13th or 14th in the league?
I agree with you. I think they should be better. But when a manager is persistent on playing a formation...
But I'm not talking about top 4, top 5 here. I'm talking about, can they make progress to get to 8th, 9th, and this group of players have to be doing better than that. And to do that, they have to score more goals, obviously, and take more gambles. And there's a great word, I think Gary meant, you have to have courage. You have to play courage for playing for Man United when it's 70 or 80,000 looking at you and you're up against it. It's easy when you're winning every week, of course, that. But it's wanting the ball when you don't want it.
But you're also talking about attacking players, Roy. Højlund's still not proven in the Premier League. Xerxes is still new to it.
Right. Yeah.
So is he going to be scoring goals in any other team?
So is Amorim as well. And you go to those other teams, Brentford, Crystal Palace. They've had time with their managers. Thomas Frank, how long has he been at Brentford? And he's built this system, and it makes them bulletproof at times. You know, they know what they're doing. Amorim's not had that time, and that's not a cop-out saying, oh, he needs more time to get this team up to that level.
But sometimes a manager comes into a club and there's a reaction straight away.
Well, you could mention Ollie Glasson last year, who was playing that in a very similar system of formation that Manchester United are. Was his impact not quite immediate at Crystal Palace?
It wasn't immediate, was it? Well, he got a bit of a bounce, but it wasn't immediate, and we're seeing the benefits from it this season. That, you know, they're performing at a pretty high level. Yeah, the league table, I mean, what do Crystal Palace expect in terms of league position? I'm not sure, but you can see what they're trying to do. And Manchester United, I saw signs today, you know, clutching even, like saw signs of the system working, but Roy's spot on that. They just completely don't create anything, and it's because there's no sort of camaraderie in the final third, and the attacking pieces just don't seem to work yet.
Do you think the system is a problem then, Roy? Would you be throwing it out at this stage?
But the manager's going to stick with it, isn't it? The manager's...
But is that the right thing to do?
No, well, obviously that's the gamble he's taking, because ultimately if he's not getting football results, and we're talking about next year when he will no doubt get an opportunity to bring players in the summer, and then we'll have maybe be able to judge it better.
But the problem with that, Roy, is they're going to be signing players specifically for the system that he wants to play.
And that's obviously the way he's going. That's his beliefs and his philosophy, and that's fine. But I like to play for teams with philosophies. We like to win football matches. I like that philosophy. I don't ever remember sitting in a dressing room with the players I played with and some decent players at other clubs, including Forest and brilliant managers, where we discussed our philosophy or what way we're going to... We'd find different ways to play. Man United were trying to play out today and got caught a few times, and I'm like, I don't like that. There's times for it. But if that's the way... If they're going to go down that road and they're picking up results and you're going, do you know what, they're scoring plenty of... But I don't see it. My eyes don't lie to me. No, I'd like to be proven wrong, and Man United are in the top 5 or 6 next year. You're going, I'll take it all back. But I don't see it. I've watched the game. I've seen a few live games lately. I watched Forest the other night. I was kicking my cups of tea over. I was watching it. All I hear was they're neat and tidy. But they were never going to score. Never going to score. No goals again today. Part of playing for Man, they're going to go back to responsibility for when you're playing for a big club and you're getting all this, the big contracts and all the reward. Is a responsibility to win football matches. Ultimately, is that what we're here for? To win. We're praising Liverpool. We're praising Liverpool for the last few months. Why? Because they're clinical and they're winning football matches. So when we sit here and watch Man United, we're going, I'm getting fed up with this. But have you seen signs of what? Signs of getting the odd draw? Getting the odd...
Roy, that's where they are at this moment of time.
No,
so that's what you have to judge them on.
That's right. But I don't think it's good enough.
But you've said it right. The players at this moment, I believe, in the system, doesn't work. I think it was on Amorim at the start. He said he's going to play this system. He's going to persist with this system.
And good luck to him.
And it's at the detriment to the players and him at this moment. Long term, I think when he wants to play the system, I think it will come good. But he needs a window. He needs to get the players that he wants. But right now, he's got players playing in positions what are unfamiliar to them. So we're asking them to do things that they can't really do. Dorgu's their best player
sure
today.
He said before the game, I was going to talk about tactics.
Does he also not need to build... I mean, it's not momentum because they're not winning games, but they've got a huge game hit on Thursday night against Lyon. Do they need to build some confidence in terms of not losing games, being solid? He said after the Arsenal game...
How long do you keep saying that, not losing?
But they're playing Arsenal and Manchester City in back-to-back home games, and he said after the Arsenal game, this is not the way we want to play long term, but we have to take small steps.
So we should expect Man United to beat Man City today.
They don't have a divine right to win Man United, do they? They're playing at the level in which they are right now, and you throw the system on that. That's the results of what you're getting. Yeah. I believe if they was playing 4-3-3, which the players are familiar with, they'd be doing a lot better than they are now. I think it's the system at the moment is hindering a little bit, but long term with Amorim, I think it will work well for them. But we need time.
You're talking about expectation. You're playing Arsenal, Man City. They beat Man City at Man City.
Yeah, but
they lost heavily to them
I know,
last
but they beat Arsenal in the cup down there, so they have shown moments where they can do it. But it's just doing it week in, week out. And when they're walking off the pitch, every time we come to Old Trafford, they're getting applauded off the pitch for getting draws. So that's where the mindset and where the standards of the club is. It's a problem off the field at the moment. We see some fans protesting, and it's a huge problem on the field. So this team can produce. They've shown it in moments over the course of the season. They went to Liverpool, did they get a draw, and they nearly won it at the end. They've beaten Man City early in the season. They've beaten Arsenal in the Cup in a tough game, and they had a man sent off. So they have proved they can kind of get over the line in certain games. But it's just the lack of goals. And I suppose if you do win matches, I get that. You get a bit of confidence and belief in the dressing room, particularly for the new players. And if the strikers aren't scoring goals, then it's a huge problem. Steve Bruce said many times before, you're only as good as your strikers. And at this moment in time, that's where it's a big struggle. If you can't score goals, you're constantly under pressure.
Were City any better? To be discussed in just a couple of minutes, because we've got manager reaction for you.
Need to be a little bit more, have more the instinct, the killer instinct, to get the goals in the first half. I think we had too many chances, and we have to get one. When you play against City, they want to have the ball. They will overload places and sides, and you have to be patient with your pressure. But I think we did that very well today. We are very well organized. But as I said, the killer instinct today was missing a little bit. But we created a lot of chances. That's a good point.
So in terms of the manager's structure, defensive plan, do you feel like you're really up to speed with that now? Whenever you're playing the top sides, you're making it really difficult for them.
No, but I wasn't worried about the defensive organization or the speed of the team going backwards, pressing, because when we play big teams, we have shown that. Yeah. The problem is when you go to some games where we think probably that we are the better team, and then we don't do it in the same pace as we should do. But we're growing in that. We're understanding that without suffering, that's what the manager says to us a lot of times. If he doesn't see us suffering, that means that we're not doing 100%. So today we did it, but we have to carry on. This not just for the rest of the season, but for everything that comes after.
You've been in terrific form for a few months actually now, but around you've got some young players, maybe some guys who are just searching for their best form. How much responsibility do you feel to be the difference, to make the difference for Manchester United at the moment?
No, my responsibility is doing the best I can for the team, because that's the responsibility everyone has. Obviously, we know that I will get more attention than some others probably, because being the captain and being here for so many years, and I need to be at the level of this club every time I step off the dressing room to go to the pitch. Obviously, sometimes you don't, but the effort is always there. That won't miss from my side. It could miss technically, tactically a little bit sometimes, but effort-wise we'll never miss, and that has to be my main thing to show to the other ones.
The manager was talking in the week about being in a rush to get Manchester United back to, where I guess everyone feels they belong, contending right at the top of this league. Seeing what you've seen over the past few months, how far off are you?
No, as I said, it's not these games that will define that. It's the other ones. That, as I said, whenever we play big teams, we know the pressure is all there, so much attention, everything, and everyone is today. with scoring goals, we'll be close. But if after today we just relax and think that this is enough, we go back again. So that's the main focus now, is to do this consistently.
What type of game was it today, did you think? What was it like to play in it? Maybe, I don't know, it seems to lack some of the blood and thunder of derbies of years gone by, did you think?
No, I think there was a lot of falls in there. There was a lot of moments, but it can't be any more like it was in the past. It's a lot of things now that have changed with VAR, everything. You know, I've played in derbies also without VAR, and I know how it is. But with VAR nowadays you can't do that. Before they had only 3 referees. Now they have 4 plus VAR. In the past we had 5 referees on the pitch, 2 behind the goal. So everything is changing. So we can't be as rough as we want on the duels, on the tackles, and everything, because everything has changed.
Okay, last question then on Kevin De Bruyne, because that was your last time facing him in a Manchester derby. I thought I saw you have a little moment with him at full time, but I know he's been on the wrong side of Manchester from your perspective, but how tough an opponent has he been? How good a player is he?
Oh, he made the Premier League better. He made if City is where he is and Man United hasn't won many trophies in this period, is also because of Kevin De Bruyne, and he deserves all the credit. He's done fantastic. 10 years in the Premier League is a lot. They have decided to part ways. I don't know from which side, but Kevin keeps being world class, and it was a pleasure to watch him so close. It was a pleasure to play against him, and he's gonna stay in the history of the Premier League, not only of Man City.
Yeah, you're right. He has been a brilliant player, but today you were the player of the match.
Thank you very
well
much.
played, Bruno.
Thank you.
Thank you.
37 goals, and only 5 teams in the Premier League have scored fewer than them.
Yeah, it's a big issue, Steve. As you said, we said that before. I think it's quite right saying the defensive organisation looks all right. But is that because they don't look like a threat at the other end of the pitch? You know what I mean? That balance has to be right. The balance isn't quite there. They definitely need more ammunition in the forward area of the pitch. That goes without saying. I think Garnacho is the only threat, but again, we're talking about the threat where he scored once in 25, 26 games. It's not enough. He needs to be more consistent with his chances. He should have scored again today for me. The diving header 5 yards out, it should be a goal, and that probably wins the game. So reinforcements look, we know reinforcements need possibly all over the pitch, but especially in forward areas. They're just toothless in attack.
I'm going to give you an incredible stat now, because it's not just reinforcements, it's the way they're playing that's getting much discussion. Since Ruben Amorim arrived, only Leicester City have scored in fewer games than Manchester United. So actually the goal-scoring record's gone backwards since this manager came in, with the shape and with the players that he has available to him.
Yeah, and from what we've seen so far, it's not going to change that. He's not going to change the shape, whether it's winning games or losing games. It doesn't seem to matter to him now. He thinks he's got... Well, I think deep down he knows he probably hasn't got the players that he needs for the shape he wants to play, but he's just getting on with it anyway, cracking on with it, hoping... Any chances, I think, over the last 5, 6... They're not playing against great opposition in the last 5 or 6 weeks. You have to take that into account as well. And they have looked defensively solid. They do, but to win games of football, you've got to score goals. This is just the way of this club. This club is about entertaining people, having brilliant forward players. Forward players are just... They're not at the level that is required to have a team who can compete constantly for Champions League, for the title. They're in 14th in the Premier League. They're there for a reason. 37 goals in 30 games. It's nowhere near enough, Steve, and that has to change.
So when he auditioned, surely being a Manchester United potential manager, he'd have put himself forward with a forward-thinking, attacking system, because he was so keen, so implement. Like he would have interviewed on his sword, this is my system and this is what brings success. So what on earth are they doing in training? Because defensively, like you say, defensively they do look fairly solid. But in the Premier League, to be successful, you can't just rely on being... No. Like, you know, Forest, Leicester, those sorts of teams, they don't come around very often. There's not much sustainability to what they're trying to do. You can have one good season, but what could he possibly be doing in training to balance that up? Because they can't just think as soon as they start attacking, they're vulnerable. It doesn't work. A good team doesn't the moment they attack.
Yeah. Well, I think his system can be an attacking system. I think he's shown at Sporting Lisbon. They scored plenty of goals. I just don't... He hasn't got the ammunition to go out and actually score goals. He just hasn't got it. He's got Bruno Fernandes, who's capable. Xerxes, Højlund, not goal scorers. It's incredible.
It would be interesting to see if you gave Ruben Amorim and said, what is your ideal 11 for the system that you want to play? I wouldn't be able to name the players that he'd want. It doesn't really just quite make sense. He did well at Sporting, and I'm sure he's a top coach when he's on fire and when the team are flowing. But it's just really, really hard to work out what his team looks like when it's successful, being both solid at the back, which every title-winning team needs to be, but also effective going forward. That's the one thing that I'm just struggling to see.
We have to cut him some slack here in the sense that the way he wants to play, you have to recruit players for that specific way, and obviously they've been recruited for the previous managers.
Absolutely, no doubt, but like a high-end player, which Man United have signed, and, you know, players have proven that they've signed them, and other people have wanted these players, so they could have gone on, hypothetically, and gone and played for a team that's successful and done well. And you look at Anthony, you look at Rashford. You know, they're in a system that's working. They're not amazing. They're not they've gone into systems that are groundbreaking. Look, I know Anthony's gone into a Pellegrini. That's very simple on what he wants from them, but he seems to be shining. So that's all I'm asking. These guys aren't awful players. They've not recruited terrible players. They should be able to coach them into some sort of system, like working with them every single day. Like, that's what you forget about a professional footballer.
Joe, when you said there wasn't much competition, I don't remember much competition for some of the players they did sign. I don't remember being a fight over Joshua Xerxes all around Europe. Ugarte, Højlund, possibly. I think Højlund might have been one who people could have wanted because he was so young. Anthony, who I can't think of many teams. They're not fighting for players who other teams want, are they? And that's possibly an issue as well.
Up at Man United for huge money. That's wild.
Bad recruitment.
Yeah.
Terrible recruitment.
And in terms of what you're saying, that the players don't fit the system and he hasn't got his own players, we're not expecting a huge turnover of players this summer to try and make an instant difference at the start of next season. So is that a concern as well?
It has to be a major concern. Where's the money coming from? Obviously, we've seen the interview from Sir Jim, and it didn't make good reading. You don't think like he's got a war chest to go to war with. It just doesn't feel like that. I get the impression, and I could be wrong here, but I think they might sell the two young players. I think they might sell Garnacho and Mainu, just obviously for PSR issues as well. What can you do for selling for 60 million, then you can spend 180 million? I think that's...
Would that be sickening? Especially when you look at someone like what Scott McTominay's doing in Italy at the moment with Napoli.
The Mainu one would hurt, yeah. Do you know what? They both hurt. When you're looking for... OK, Garnacho's come later, but Mainu, you talk about a boy who's come to Man United at 6, 7 years of age. Now, he's been coached, he's been right through the system up to 18, 19 years of age, come through to the first team, had a brilliant year last year, not so good this year. It makes the academy system fail, really. It makes it look bad that they've had to sell that player. And that's just because of mismanagement that's happened through the years now. I'm open wrong. I hope they don't have to do that. But the noises you hear, it has to be a big concern. And you know, for Manchester to be in this position, you look back at Manchester over the last 20 years, you think, get any player in the world, any player they want. And we had a brief conversation before. If clubs, Man United might be in the league now of. It hurts me to say that. But where are you going? With the trouble that's at Manchester United, at that club at the minute, it could be a mess for the next 5, 10 years. Now, look, they might have the right man in place. And they're saying, Amorim, is he the right man? He's got a big job. This is a big job for anyone. Whoever the manager is, whether it's Pep Guardiola could be there. This is a major job.
Europe's biggest names in there, haven't we?
Yeah, exactly. We've tried everything.